we want here at LenCred is pretty simple. 19 months ago, we started down a path of doing something disruptive. And I don't mean disruptive in a bad way. I mean disruptive in a good way. What Tom and the team recognized almost 2 years ago now is what used to work didn't continue to work. We call it the legacy model, but we're being kind. We could call it some other things that would probably be limited to 4 letters. Okay, but we don't. But the model shifted, the industry shifted, the needs of the client shifted. And as those shifts happen, what occurred is the shift hadn't happened inside the industry. So guess what? Knock, 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 opportunity. And Tom was one of the first ones, as he has been many, many times, to recognize there's something needed to be done, something different, something disruptive. And we started down that path. And what we've recognized lately after almost 1,000 clients is, hey, this works if the client does. I mean, the old adage, you can take a horse to water, is never more true than it is right here, right? Based on their qualifications, we can take them to water and we can certainly help them drink, show them where the water is, even maybe show them how to drink, but we can't drink for them. But we understand that what we've created here definitely works, and it works for the vast majority of people. We qualify a lot more people here than we used to back with the old legacy model. So the belief level has gone up significantly. But what we realize we do here, and it's more important than anything, what we realize that we do here is we believe in their dreams. It's very simple. If we didn't believe in the dreams of our clients, what would our purpose be? Would you want to help somebody get funding if you didn't believe in what they did? Probably not. So what we do here at LenCred is we are constantly on the search for people that are willing to take that step. I mean, let's face it, entrepreneurialism is not for the faint of heart. Right, guys? You're all sitting in that chair. It ain't easy. And that's why everybody ain't doing it. It's not easy. You can relate to your people. You can relate to your client because you are in the same position. Right, Robert? Right? We take risks. I don't know if you guys have ever gone to the LenCred website and listened to that on the 8th day God created the entrepreneur. Have you gone to the website and listened to that? Have you listened to the God created the entrepreneur? Have you actually listened to the script and talked about how, you know, they work 24 hours a day and they get up and they do it again, and they even do it at the potential criticism of their family and friends? That's what entrepreneurialism is all about. As soon as you understand and have a thorough understanding of your client and you feel their pain, you can move them to a solution faster than anything. So,
and can I comment on something, Jimmy?
Please.
You know, I think that, you know, at the end of the day, right, I know we're talking about, you know, sales training, but, you know, Jimmy touched on something that I want you guys to connect with, you know, and talks about believing in our clients. And when many of you that have been around for several months, you've kind of seen us start to expand once again. You know, back in 2013, we hit the Inc. 500 list and we were in expansion mode and so on and so forth. And so, you know, many moons ago, and then we obviously made the shift that Jimmy talked about with the model. And now, you know, there's lots of demand and we're back in growth mode. And so it's an exciting time. And many of you have seen us, you know, the fulfillment team is the team that does the lion's share of the heavy lifting when it comes to execution of the strategies. In essence, what was really purchased, they're the ones that do the heavy lifting on executing on that. So the client experience is heavily dependent upon that team, not solely dependent upon them, but heavily dependent upon them. And, you know, we're looking for a lot of things when we hire, but the main thing we're looking for is people who believe. Will you believe that tomorrow can be a better day? Will you believe that, you know, the entrepreneur can change the world? Will you believe that? And sometimes, remember, changing the world for a lot of people doesn't mean that they're the new Apple or the new Google. For most of us, it means I can replace my job and I don't have to go to work for that guy or that gal anymore that, you know, makes me cringe, makes me want to, right? And so for a lot of people in America, this dream of, you know, being a business owner isn't necessarily about driving, you know, expensive cars and buying yachts and doing all those kinds of things, right? That the media kind of would associate with. A lot of times it's, I want a better, I want something better for me and my family. And sometimes it starts that simple. And then as that person works through the all of the stuff that comes with it's not easy, right? I mean, it is not easy starting and building a business. All you got to do is read Michael Gerber's book. If you haven't read the E-Myth Revisited, put it on your book list. Go read it and remember his story and some of the things he shares in there. I mean, he shares with you some excruciatingly painful challenges that he went through with his cash flow. Michael Gerber, personal, his story, I mean, unbelievably excruciatingly painful. Cash flow challenges that most of you and most of us won't have to deal with. We'll deal with, there's nobody here that's probably not going to deal with cash flow challenges. But when you read his book, it's just like, oh my goodness, are you kidding? My challenges are not that bad, you know, and it goes into IRS and all kinds of other things, right? And he shares it with you, but then he also shares with you the realities of the lady who starts the business All About Pies and how normal that is to start a business and say, well, I can do this better than my boss. But then you go through all of the other things that come with that. And there's a reason why, because be careful about believing that I guess widely used statistic that 50% of businesses fail. You know, one of the graphs Jimmy showed you was how many new EINs have been requested in the last, 30, 40, 50 years and how it spiked up here recently since COVID. Well, forget the spike for a minute. The steady number of new EINs that have been requested. Well, when I started talking about, new businesses and funding for small businesses 13 years ago, back then we said there was 28 million small business owners. Now we're at 31 million 13 years later. If 50% were failing and that was all, we'd have a whole lot more than 31 million small business owners this many years later. There's a recycling process that weeds out a lot of people. Gerber talks about that. And so it's difficult to do that. And man, the minute you give up belief, because when you read Gerber's book, you'll go, man, I don't know if I got it in me to go through what he's been through, right? And the one thing that guarantees your failure is when you throw in the towel, right? The one thing that ensures that you, I don't mean you personally, but you meaning our client, the one thing that ensures that they become a statistic is when they give up. And so think about those, those three things that are the most likely things that cause failure. The three biggest things that cause failure are poor leadership, not having a marketing plan or relevant marketing plan, and not having access to capital. Think about those three things. Think about your client, your prospect. Are they using some of their resources to invest in those areas? Now, I'm a college educated guy. I can walk and talk and chew gum all at the same time. I came from a family where my dad was a successful businessman, great man. I wanted to be like him and still want to be like him in many ways because of how he told the truth and took care of his clients and did the right thing and was really good. My dad had the territory of Iowa. He sold playground equipment and scoreboards for 30 years to schools and cities in the state of Iowa, which by comparison is a terrible territory compared to some of the more densely populated states all around the country. So if you were giving people, if there was a raffle and the people that were doing what he did got to go in order and pick territories, nobody's picking Iowa, right, as the territory they want. For 20 years, he was the number one salesperson in the entire country, and he never attended a sales event, never went to a Zig Ziglar conference. He always was out there and took care of people. He was just always out there and if there was a problem, he showed up. He was there. He didn't dodge the phone call. He was there. And he would not only get the phone call, obviously back in the days before cell phones, although I remember him getting his first car phone, one of those big bag phones, whatever. But he not only would answer the phone, but then he'd be there the next day. He'd show up, and wherever that was, maybe he had to drive 3 or 4 hours to different outskirts, towns on the outskirts of the state or whatever. But that's what he did. And and at the end of the day, going back to what we originally were talking about is we want people in that department that does the lion's share of the client service for us. They're doing a great job, by the way. And the kind of quarterbacks on those teams, along with the PCC and the BCC, they're doing a fantastic job. The number one thing we want when we're hiring those people is people who believe. If you believe that things can be accomplished, and think about it, and then the building blocks are put in place to allow that goal and that dream to come into reality. And think about some of those building blocks. Some of those building blocks are those things that say, well, if these are the 3 things that cause most businesses to fail: poor leadership, not having a relevant marketing plan, and not having the financing place. If your clients are investing some of their resources into learning how to be a better leader, how to be a better manager, and how to run their operation, run their business, scale it, whatever they're looking to do, if they're doing that, if they're also investing some of their resources into having up-to-date relevant marketing plans, right? And then if they're obviously investing time and resources into ensuring that they have access to capital, what are the chances that now they believe and they're investing their resources in those 3 areas as well as other areas that they identify? Now they're taking the approach of saying, I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win this game. And whatever curveballs I've got that come my way, I'm prepared. I've learned how to lead. I've learned how to, run an organization. I've got a marketing plan. I will shift gears and I will hit curveballs as need be, partially because I also have access to capital, so that first thing that I tried didn't work. I'm going to try the second thing. Guys, I don't know how many times that number 1, number 2, and number 3 didn't work for me over the years. And so I could say, well, gosh, that didn't work, and I could walk away. Or I could say, well, doggone it, this 4th thing's going to work. I learned this and I learned that. One of Jimmy's sayings that I've stolen from him is, sometimes when you do things long enough, you start to learn how to do it the right way, right? And sometimes that's how this stuff works. You kind of fail forward. And so, with those folks that you're working with, if you can connect with them and connect with their dream and connect with their goals and help them realize that's who we are. It's okay to have a dream. It's okay to say, I think I can do this. It's not going to be, if any of you ever seen that journey, I got it framed here, not framed, but it laminated, the emotional journey of creating anything great, and it's pretty, you Google search it, it's all over the internet, and that's the emotional kind of roller coasterish ride that your clients are going to go on. If you haven't looked at it, up here at the top, it says, this is the best idea ever. This will be fun. And as it starts to kind of go down, oh, this is harder than I thought. And over here, it's like, this is going to be a lot of work. And then down here, the depths of it, this is a terrible idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. That's how you start feeling sometimes, and then all of a sudden you start to come up because you don't throw in the towel and you stick with it. And all of a sudden you come up here and it says, okay, maybe I can do this, but it was still a terrible idea. Let's quit and say we learned something. That's a real thing, right? One of the things on the uptick, right? As you're coming, on the uptick, let's quit and say we learned something. Why? Because everybody else did. And I can feel okay at the, mixer tomorrow night if I talk about what I learned. Hey, wow. this is starting to work, but it takes time, takes a lot of time. And it's not easy. If kind of like Jimmy said, if it was easy, we all know everybody be doing it. And so, let's believe in our clients' dreams and, on our end, that's the primary criteria we're looking for. I know I kind of shifted gears, Jimmy, a little bit per se, but we're looking for those people, and we have a good group of them right now who simply believe. They believe in us, they believe in you, and they believe in their clients, and that's the posture that we're going to take in everything we do, and in all of our communication with them. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to behave.